What if you never tried anything? What if I never started my band? What if I started the band but quit when I graduated high school to go to college or any of those things that are kind of pushed on us when we're kids? What if I kept the band going and then quit in my 20s because we weren't making any money? It was really hard. We didn't do any touring in the early 2000s. Didn't start until 2006. What if we never went on tour? When my wife told me she was pregnant, it was like, okay, time to step it up. I was renting a room from a guy that summer, 2009, when she told me she was pregnant, and I was playing Xbox. And when she told me that, I pretty much put the controller down for about 6 years. I got serious, started picking up more hours at the restaurant. Before he was born, we had an apartment, and it was that time to step up and do what I'm supposed to do, It was the same thing when it came to if I'm gonna keep doing this music thing, I gotta get serious about it. I gotta be able to devote more time to it. So I made this kind of tough decision in 2013. I was like, it's now or never. I was in my early 30s. My son was 3 years old. If this is gonna be a real thing, I gotta fully commit. And so I did. I gave notice at my job, and I'd worked there for about 11 years waiting tables over in Aberdeen. A place called the Olive Tree, great food, you should go check it out. Italian food, best crab cake in town. They were really good to me. They would let me go on tour, come back, I'd still have a job, I got fired from a job before that, back in 2007. I had to leave for 2 weeks for tour, and I told them and everything. They're like, all right, cool. And I came back, and he's like, what are you doing here? I was like, just got home from tour. He's like, yeah, I can't have you leaving, man. Sorry, you gotta go. I was like, cool, man. Shout out to Olive Tree for being cool and let me come back. Anyway, it was just time. It was time to shit or get off the pot, as they say. And so I was trying to think of anything I could do to make money, support my family. We were at a point where we had people coming out to the shows. How you doing? All right, not bad. We were at a point where we had people coming to the shows, but little did we know that the next 6 or 7 years, we were gonna get stuck, we were gonna plateau. It was like we couldn't move up in the music world, in our community. And so we just couldn't seem to break 200 people on an average night. So it was kind of scary, and it was difficult to see through some of those issues. We did Warped Tour in 2012 and 2016, and it was amazing. And you have these really cool things that happen, these really big ups, and then followed by years of I wouldn't say, definitely some downs, but not as many super cool things happening. Feeling like, okay, we've been doing this so long, we should be doing more than this, It should be better than this. And there's so many times that I wanted to give up, thinking about the family, and I want to provide a good life for them. Looking back, I've definitely been able to give them a good life. It's not bad or anything like that. It's just as they get older, it's like, man, they're growing out of their beds and kind of growing out of their rooms a little bit. My son's room's going to be a little too small for him, But it's I think about it, I'm like, as hard as it is, I would not want to be waiting tables still. I would not want to be loading trucks at a warehouse. I worked at a spot down the road here. I used to make walk-in refrigerators, wiring up the electrical, putting all the handles on, the kick plates, all that fun stuff. And I had to wear jeans and steel-toe boots, and it was in the summer of 2002, and it was hot as fuck. And the thing was like a tin can. It was so hot, and I worked second shift. So there was one point where I would get up in the morning, go work at Target until 10 a.m., and then shoot over to the restaurant and work until 2:30, and then I'd have to be at Duracool at 3, and I would work till 11. So it was a full day. The summer 2002 was a rough one, man. And I was like, I don't want to do this. But it would still take 4 years for us to go on tour, because we just didn't know what the hell we were doing. I'm glad that I stuck with it. I just can't imagine not ever trying anything, not ever trying trying to pursue that dream or make that thing happen. There's a lot of people hit me in the comments and stuff, and they say things like, dude, I wish I could do what you're doing. I'm a failed musician or whatever. It's like, dude, just, saying you're a failed musician, what does that even mean? It's like, you can still put out music and stuff on the side, It's like, I know like some people work long days and they got families and the kids have things they have to do, activities, and the day can get crazy. I used to work all those hours, and then I would come home at like 10 or 11. My son would already be asleep, and I would be in the closet trying to record demos and learning how to record myself. And this is all after hours, and I would just do the same thing every day. All I can say is if you really want to do it, you have to commit, even if it is a hobby, but you have an idea, like, I want to make an album, I want to make a song. Like, you just have to like use whatever time you have to do that. Don't say you're a failed musician. Don't be mean to yourself. There's people in my comments saying like, I worry about what other people think. I'm getting more comfortable with cars and people driving by and not being so weird about it. You guys like these coffee walks? All right. You gotta stop worrying about it, man. If there's something that you want to do, you want to get done, you have to try. You have to do something. Because you're gonna look back when you're 70, 80, 90 years old, and you're gonna be like, yo, I wish I would have done that. I wish I would have done the thing. Because, dude, what is life, man? We're just like, some people just work and work and work and work until they die. What is it? And look, some people are completely happy with that. They're totally fine with just living a normal life and, experiencing the world. Some people never leave town. It's fine, man. If that's what you want to do. But if you're someone that wants more for yourself, you have to take it. You have to set yourself up for it. And you have to say, fuck these people. I don't care. I don't care what happens. I want to do this. I don't know if I would have met my wife, because I met her at a show back in 2005. Probably wouldn't have met her. I mean, maybe going out or something, but I was a dork, man. I was like, I don't know how anybody would be attracted to me. At least not her, man. She's way hotter than I am. I'm married up. And, if I didn't have a guitar in my lap when she first saw me, she might have walked right by me. I don't know. I wouldn't have the kids that I have. It's crazy to think like what direction your life can go in if you don't make that choice. You don't do that thing. Got my ND16 on today. The last video was way overexposed, so I'm hoping that this is right. It's really cloudy today. It's overcast, but I can't tell. I don't know. Again, still figuring out if I want to use ND filters. I might just shoot auto, but we'll see. I think people are too hard on themselves. I think people are maybe expect too much from themselves, and it kind of thwarts our plans, And I just don't want to think about a world where I don't have music. I've been creating for like 30 years. I can't imagine my life without any of that. My art is my expression it's everything. And I've told my wife so many times, like, it's one thing to decide to quit and be over it, and you're just like, I'm gonna move on. I tried this. I did my thing, whatever. But it's another if you like have to quit because of outside forces and you just have no choice. I told her if I ever had to quit, I would be the most miserable person to be around. And, of course, kind of going back to what I just said, like, if I ever had to stop touring or whatever, I could still make music. I could still do the thing on a more low-key vibe, but I love playing shows. I love going on tour. Tour is hard. I should make a video about that. I love going out there and playing music for people and seeing the result of all the work that we've done. How you guys like this angle? It's cool. I don't want to put people's houses on the internet. Being able to do this it changed my life. It it made me realize that things were possible. And I like to think that I'm showing my kids what's possible. Even my wife, you know, like she knows what she signed up for, obviously, but there's been many times where I've had to convince her, I swear, babe, it's gonna be all right. We're gonna be fine. But I've been able to show her, you know, even my mom, my grandmother, like, you know, I get to tell her about the band and stuff and the things we're doing. And you know, back in the day, she was trying to get me to go to college and, you know, do the thing, get a good job and all that. And it all came from like from a good place, obviously. Like that all stems from like fear of like, they want to make sure their kids, their grandkids are good. So they try to lead you in the right direction. Since I stuck with it and the band has done well, I've been able to tell her these things. And she's always like, oh, you know, she's just proud. You can tell, you know, where are you at now? I can't really talk to her on the phone anymore because she can't hear that well anymore. But she's 94. She'll be 95 this year. But yeah, when I would call her on the phone, she'd be like, where are you at now? Where are you guys? It's nice to show people the results. Look at this shit. Look what I did. Look what we did. I had a girlfriend years ago that we got in some fight and she was like, your band's never gonna be anything. Your band sucks, blah, blah, blah. Granted, this was before we started touring, and this is years before that. And, you know, we were pretty good, but we weren't great, you know? And you better have something to fall back on. You better have something to fall back on. Again, that all comes from a good place. It's just from a caring place, but it comes from like a place of misunderstanding, you know? Especially being a kid like I was. I remember looking at disc makers' catalog, being stoked about making our first CD, you know, this is like mid-90s. You could do that now as an independent band. It was expensive, it was like $3,000 to get 1,000 CDs, but things were starting to open up. When we dropped the first album, I was able to go to distributors myself. There was a record and tape traders distributor out in like Reisterstown or something, or Westminster, I can't remember. I would go there and drop off a box of CDs, and then they would put them in all the stores. They had like a handful of record stores in the Baltimore-ish area. DIY was starting to become like even better. This was in 2000. And now there's so many tools for artists, man. There's so many things we can do on our own. We don't need a label. And it's a lot less expensive than it used to be. We're making records for nothing nowadays. Like, we make them ourselves. It goes back to how I opened the video. It's like, what if we didn't make that record? What if we didn't get it into stores and start pushing it? And like, what if we didn't do the work? I think is the thesis of this video. Did I use that right, thesis? What if I didn't do the work? What if you didn't do the work? I don't know, I don't want to beat a dead horse, you guys get it, but so today I have to make some content. I have a new song dropping on Thursday. It's called FIREMAN, if anybody wants to check it out. It'll be available everywhere on Thursday, May 29th. I'll link to the video in the description if you guys want to check out how I made this song. But I got to go make some content for that. Of course, do some more promotion for the new Ballyhoo song that dropped on Friday. Swims, it's doing really well. You guys seem to love it. Thank you guys very much. I think we're about 35,000 streams right now, something like that. And yeah, it's been crushing, man. People seem to love the vibe, and I'm glad because I wasn't sure. It's really weird, surfy, dark song. I already talked about that a couple of videos ago, but yeah, it seems people like it. We're gonna keep trying to release things throughout the summer and the rest of the year as we sort of keep writing for the new album, which I'm thinking 2026 sometime. I've been in a creative mode for a bit now and feeling good about a lot of the stuff. All right, man, well, those are my thoughts for the day. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know what else I should be talking about, guys. Catch you in the next one.